Frontline. Won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about Scavenger Hunt.
We really need to have like a whole category of movies that could have been really good,
Yeah.
but weren't.
Well, look, I'll be completely honest with you. I had not seen this movie since I was a child.
Yeah.
And I was taken in by its ad campaign and its
Oh,
disco
I'm sure.
music.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, when you cut the good pieces together, I'm sure the trailer was amazing.
It looked great. It had all the things I loved as a kid. Foam. Lots of like
Foam.
kids loved foam back then.
There was a lot of foam.
Every show, like whether it was the Brady Bunch or something, they always had like the dishwasher, the washing machine. They put too much crap in, and the whole thing would
It would
foam
just bubble over. Every single sitcom had at least one episode.
That was my favorite episode. That or the one that the other episode that they always had was some episode where somehow it didn't always make sense, but somehow the ending devolved into a huge pie fight.
Oh yeah,
Pie fights and foam were very big.
That was because of oh god, I can't think of the name of that movie.
Bugsy Malone.
Bugsy Malone, yeah.
It's because of vaudeville.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are people throwing pies in each other's faces long before that.
It is really crazy. I kind of want to go back and do some sort of research, a completely useless research project.
Yeah.
Where I dissect the media from like 1974 to 1988 and see how many pie fights there were in television.
I think it came back because of Bugsy Malone. I think that's what kind of kicked off the whole pie fight thing.
It never went out of style.
There was no pie fights in Scavenger Hunt, although a cop car did get pied.
Yeah.
And then what's this?
Stuart Pankin.
Stuart Pankin eating pieces.
Lemon meringue. Ooh, you got to try this, couples. Look, so I distinctly remember the ad campaign for this, and I distinctly remember the version of the Nutcracker, the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Something to that effect.
It's from the Nutcracker, yeah.
It's also one of my favorite classical pieces.
Yeah.
It was as a kid.
It's
very jaunty and bouncy.
It's driving, and it has. It's very, yeah.
And they put together this really rad, awesome disco version of it.
I have to completely disagree with you on that.
But what really upset me as a child was I finally got to see this movie that I was extremely excited about. Super hyped. Yeah. It had some of my favorite actors, some of my earliest talent crushes.
Amazing cast.
Of all time.
Yeah.
I did not hate it. I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it, and I was so mad that disco version was only in like 20 seconds of the movie.
Yeah. When it started doing the disco stuff, and then I kind of heard the Nutcracker thing under it. I just thought they didn't mix the song very well.
It was just too much going on. It was cacophonous.
It was a lot. Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying I wasn't a weirdo as a child, man. I was weird
I'm
as
not
F.
judging you for liking it.
But I had not seen it since then, and I had vague memories of it.
Yeah.
The things that really stuck out to me were it's really all of the parts with James Coco and McDowall.
The servants, yeah.
Yeah, and
Cleavon Little. And Faracy.
Yes. Faracy. It's all of their parts mostly.
Oh, they were great. Yeah.
So good together. But it was the foam, the foam part.
In the scientist lab.
And the toilet part.
Oh, the toilet.
I remember that.
I just love they made them do the weirdest things.
And there was something about, and there were weird little things, comedy things that really got me as a child.
Sure.
And one of them that I absolutely loved was Malcolm McDowell's Jenkins.
Yeah.
Was so fastidious and perfect. At any time, any horrible, messy thing happened, he would have maybe, after the foam, everybody was just covered in foam. He had a tiny little bit on him.
Yeah, he had an umbrella that had a little bit on it, and that's the only, and then some of it fell on him, but that was it.
And during the toilet thing, he had like a suit, like a rubber suit on.
Clear, full suit.
His socks and shoes off. He was just so fastidious.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Those little touches were very good.
I'm always a fan of the corners of comedy. I'm always a fan of the throwaways or the background.
Yeah,
That's why I love The Simpsons so much.
Most people will miss it.
Yeah.
But you see it.
But the nooks and crannies of comedy, I think, are what makes something great. And I think this movie, and I was thinking about this yesterday after we watched it. I think the main problem with this movie look, we're going to be comparing this a lot to Mad World.
Of course.
Because they're very similar.
If it wasn't for Mad World, this movie wouldn't
not have been made.
Yeah.
Very, very along the same lines. But where this failed, where Mad World succeeded, is character development. We didn't get any character development of any of these people.
There's like explanation of who they were at the beginning, but then that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
There was no like further development. It was just, we got to go find the stuff. And
it was gags. And they tried a little bit, because Tony Randall and his kids, they kind of get... But it's all surface superficial. Nobody earned it.
Right.
Nobody changed.
Wait, you're saying the writing's not very good?
Look, this is a case of a movie where the cast 100% elevates this to a decent movie. This is not a great movie, but it is not a bad movie. It is definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a disaster.
Same.
Oh my God, the opening of this movie is a dirge.
So hard to get into. I could totally see someone just turning it off.
Because I didn't really recognize Vincent Price at the very beginning.
God, he was old.
And it was like, video games are big, but it wasn't even a video game. It didn't make any sense.
I don't know what it was. It didn't make any sense.
And I know what they were going for, but it didn't work. And then it goes right into this really annoying reading of the will section.
Yeah.
Where we're supposed to get to know everybody.
Inevitable scene. Or they introduce everybody. I mean, that's really it.
Right, but it was also like, here's the caricature that you're going to see of everyone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't understand why, like, the stepdaughter, who ends up with the two guys, why was she left behind? They never really explained that. Just the mother was like, okay, you're here and I'm leaving.
The mother was like, you need to stay here. You're not tough enough to blah, blah, blah. So,
and then she was literally kidnapped.
Yes. It was thin motivation, but what's so kind of sad is, like, Tony Randall was playing a role that I had never seen him really play
he was great. It shows his breadth of character.
So likable, so good. I also really remember the scene between he and Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, Tony Randall and Arnold Schwarzenegger together?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's weird.
That's crazy. That's what I call incredible crazy things.
Incrazible.
But, yeah, so... and this is kind of indicative of the time, too. And, the director as well. He was more of a, started out as an exploitation director. Yeah. And,
he's not a terrible director.
Not at all. Look, man, some of his movies are some of my guiltiest pleasures.
One of his movies is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Last Dragon,
baby.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love it so much.
Saw a scene of that on YouTube the other day, and it's on one of the streaming channels, and I'm really close to watching it.
I know.
But I know we're going to do it for a show, but I don't even care. I might
end up watching it anyway.
I'm getting,
It's such a good movie.
So the guy, knows how to make fun movies, and this is a fun movie.
Yeah.
But the script was just
thin.
Really thin.
And I will also fault the editor. I think they should have had a better editor.
I agree.
It could have been tightened up so much.
Well, that's another thing, another comparison between Mad World and this is Mad World, in my opinion, has some of the best pacing in any movie ever.
Yes.
To make a 3.5-hour comedy cook and move and swing and sing.
It has no fat. Like when a scene that you're with the characters is done, they just are out and on to the next thing.
What is a testament to how good that movie is that when we watched the version with the added scenes in, it didn't seem longer or more. They fit. They fit in.
Yeah.
I think it was only cut for length. It wasn't cut for any sort of
agreed.
Dearth
they
of
were just
quality.
Afraid people would not be able to sit in the theater for 3.5
exactly.
hours.
And this again, it's pacing and music.
Yeah, there was a very much lack of music.
It was schizophrenic. It would come in some parts and some on other parts, and definitely parts that needed it didn't have it, and parts that didn't need it did have it. But music is a character in these types of movies because it's the engine. It's the bump. It keeps us on the edge of our seat. If you're watching some crazy slapstick comedy thing and it's almost silent except the shuffling of the feet.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's not that.
It's just kind of creepy.
It's kind of uncomfortable. Yeah. Anyway, so I will, so the good is I was really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, having never seen this movie, I was frightened in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
And then it picked up, and I was like, okay, like the acting shone through.
Yes.
And I was happy.
Because it had, like I said, and we'll go through them, but literally some of my very first talent crushes
Such a good cast.
are all in this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, good actors can make bad scripts better. Mm-hmm. Bad actors are just bad.
But it's also, and I think to go along with the editing issue, is that you never really spent enough time with somebody to get to know them.
Yeah.
Just as things were kind of getting interesting, you'd cut to something else.
Well, and there was like you said, there was no development at all. It was just them trying to find the stuff. And like a better writer would have had them finding the stuff while learning about the characters.
Right. And there was no growth. Like in Mad World, the point is very normal, everyday American people who think that they're really good people living their good lives are all of a sudden presented with this situation where they have a chance to get a ton of money and it shows who they really are.
Right, exactly.
It exposes them
to
their true nature, and we see it stripped away as the film goes along, and we get to know these people, and it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, the film is really a character study.
Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
Every single character is affected.
This movie, we learn who they are at the beginning, and they are that way through the entire movie. And
there's also, I know that the motivation is the money, right? But there's no, like, motivation, except for maybe, we know exactly who Richard Benjamin, Cloris Leachman, and Richard Masur are.
Yeah.
And they play it to the hilt. They're the bad guys. They're supposed to be who they are, and they do an incredible job.
Right.
I mean, Cloris Leachman, some of the physical comedy she does.
Oh, she's amazing.
Is insane.
Absolutely amazing.
She's a treasure, an American treasure. But it's like, I don't know dick about Dirk Benedict and Willie Aames. Who are they?
No,
What's
I didn't.
Their thing?
I didn't
they have
understand
a cool van.
who they were. Yeah, why they were there.
Why the girl goes with them? Did they know each other before
Well, I mean,
this?
they kidnapped
family?
her. They kidnapped her. That's
Well,
why.
they kind of did. James Coco and Cleavon Little and their group, they want to open restaurants and get out of being servants. And
they really deserved the money because they had
100%.
been there forever with this weirdo games master guy.
And they were such a wonderfully put together group.
Right,
Like they worked so well together,
Right.
and had such great chemistry. I think they, out of all of the groups, was the most entertaining to me.
Yeah,
it was
agreed.
very close between them and the Benjamin.
Yeah. Well, they were entertaining because they were just so awful. But
but
I mean, awful characters, not awful acting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you don't. And I love Richard Mulligan. I love him to death.
Oh God, he was so good.
But he's also, it's like, you name him Marvin Dummets.
Yeah.
And you literally make him.
Wait, what? The writing is not good?
You're like, how is this person alive?
Yeah.
How is this human being alive?
He couldn't even get into his own cab.
No. I mean, and God love him, the guy is great at it.
He played it perfectly.
And he would have been an amazing silent film actor.
Oh yeah.
His facial expression.
Physical comedy is amazing.
Unreal. And then the beauty of putting him with Scatman Crothers, who's one of my absolute favorite actors of all time. As soon as they hook up, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I would have watched a whole movie with just the two of them
Exactly.
together. The two characters. It would have been great.
So he doesn't even know what's going on. Yeah. Basically. He's like, okay, there's a Scatman. He finally figures it out.
Yeah.
And then, he and Scatman. But it's like.
And then he essentially dies.
Exactly. I was hoping that they would win, or he would win, because it would make the most sense.
Well, I mean, they did, technically.
Everybody won.
They technically, except for the bad guys.
Right. But.
Who got sat on by fat people.
There's a lot of really.
Some questionable things.
Yes, things that would not hold up today.
Yeah.
But that's the problem is. I'm not saying that every movie needs growth or whatever, but
No.
But we're comparing it to the first movie that we did, which, let's be honest. The first movie, Mad World, is the best of the bunch.
Oh, of course.
All of them put together. Not bad movies, but it's just, it is a movie unto itself.
Yeah.
It's incomparable.
You can't, It's top of the heap.
But this is a very late 70s, 80s version of that, which is thin.
Yeah.
Kind of caricature-y.
Yeah.
You get slapstick, you get all this stuff.
It felt like it should have been a ABC TV Sunday movie and like not released in theaters.
That was the most apt thing that I heard yesterday and it totally made sense because I think if it was an ABC movie then it probably would have done like a Disney movie.
Yeah, the Disney
Sunday
afternoon
night
movie.
Disney movie.
Yeah, the one that starts at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and it's 3 or 4 hours long, and your whole family sits and watches the whole thing, you know?
But, well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
I want people to know that you should see this movie because of the people.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
And we'll be dissecting it.
Yes.
And you'll find out why.
All right, take yourself back to 1979.
Yeah.
October 26th, the eradication of the smallpox virus is announced by the World Health Organization, making smallpox the first of only 2 human diseases that have been driven to extinction, rinderpest in 2011 being the other.
Oh, they're coming back, baby. They're going to be back in the next 4 years.
Pretty sure smallpox is already back.
Yeah, I think it is too.
November 13th, Ronald Reagan announces his candidacy for President of the United States, 9 days after the beginning of the Iran hostage crisis.
Well, I was governor, and I didn't ruin the state, so maybe you should elect me.
Well, they did.
As the president.
They did. A lot.
I don't remember who I am half of the time.
November 30th, The Wall, a rock opera concert album by Pink Floyd, is first released.
I remember my sister getting this album because she was older, and I wanted it so bad. I wanted to, because everything my sister did was cool, and I wanted to do it. Whether it's Stephen King, music, she was kind of my influence, right?
Sure.
My hero,
right?
My heroine, and I begged my mom for that tape. She's like, you're too young.
Yeah.
She heard the "we don't need no education." She's like, nah, I don't think so. You're doing.
If anybody needs education, Jim, it's you.
Exactly. You do need education.
December 21st, Scavenger Hunt is released in theaters. Right before Christmas. So I guess the Nutcracker song kind of makes sense.
Yes.
For Christmas. I forgot that it was released right before Christmas.
Right. But there's nothing Christmas about it.
No, there's not.
And not even a Christmas tree in the Scavenger Hunt gettables.
No, there's not. There should have been. Oh, but that would have taken some foresight in the writing. Okay, anyway.
Well, he didn't know when it was going to be released.
Scavenger Hunt starts with Stephen Vale, who wrote the original story for the film.
Not Stephen Vai,
no,
who's a musician.
Stephen Vale. Stephen Vai's dead.
Stephen Vale is
Stephen
too.
Vale is still alive.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's
good.
Still alive. Stephen Vale's first credit is as a co-producer on the 1976 blaxploitation film Black Samurai, starring Jim Kelly as Robert Sand, agent of Dragon, which stands for Defense Reserve Agency Guardian of Nations.
It is fun. There was a time...
I literally watched this while I was writing this script.
Nice!
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they would have like Kung Fu Theater and they would have whatever theater, but they would also... It wouldn't call it blaxploitation theater.
No, that was the label we slapped on later.
Exactly. But all these movies, this, Coffee, and, Black Caesar, Blackula, all of them, Shaft, they would play, and they were so much fun. These movies were just absolute
Black
bangers.
Samurai is not fun. It is not good.
No, it is a great title.
Not a good movie. It was also a really crappy version of it that I saw. It would look like it was like an 8mm. It was bad.
I just love Jim Kelly.
Yeah, he's great. Jim Kelly's great. In 1978, he wrote Jokes My Folks Never Told Me, an anthology film consisting of dirty sex jokes turned into short, comical, occasionally animated, and often offensive sketches, which include hillbillies, cheating, STDs, double entendres, misunderstandings, and male-on-beast bestiality.
What's really funny is I came across this on, I think, Prime.
Oh, really?
And I started...
Yes, it's not available anywhere now.
Watching it?
Yeah.
It either was this or it was something exactly like this.
Yeah.
And
it's not... it was not good.
No.
It was not good.
No.
It gives you an idea of why this movie was a series of one-off jokes with no actual character development.
Well, he learned not to do the bestiality in this one.
Oh, great. That movie, The Jokes My Folks Never Told Me, was directed by Jerry Woolery. It would seem that the only semblance of notoriety of this film is that a 13-year-old Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was in the movie. Exactly. Jerry Woolery, who directed that, would co-write Scavenger Hunt with Stephen Vale. Woolery's most notable work would be animating the title sequences for the movies Mannequin and Loverboy.
Nice!
Which I'm guessing he did that 2 seconds of animation at the beginning of this movie.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember Mannequin.
Yeah. Oh, Mannequin and Loverboy. Both of those movies are guilty pleasure. John Thompson and Henry Harper also received writing credit for Scavenger Hunt, but it's their only credit. Technically, I think they got the adaptation credit. I meant to look up to see how the WGA does this stuff because Vale got story, they got adaptation, but then Vale and Woolery got screenplay credit. So I don't know how the hell all that plays out, or
it's
how,
really
how
weird.
that it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The movie would be directed by Michael Schultz, who directed Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, starring the Bee Gees.
You're not wrong.
It's bland. It's definitely
Sgt.
bland.
Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Bland.
Listen.
Listen to our episode on that film from our musical month. The movie was better than I thought it was going to be. So.
Same. It was a movie I loved as a child. I embarrassingly thought that the Bee Gees did those songs.
So
because
weird.
I was such
Well, that's when I first heard the Aerosmith covering their Beatles song. I assumed it was them, and then I heard the Beatles version.
Come Together.
Yeah, they come together. That's right.
Yeah, listen to that show and watch that movie.
Listen to that episode of our show, and it's a fun movie. It's way more fun than it has any right to be.
It's very similar to this movie in terms of like cameos and and running around and
weird
doing stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
He's a whimsical guy. Look, he had fun. He's a fun director.
Yeah.
And not a lot of substance, but sometimes you want a Big Mac.
Well, sometimes you just want to work.
Yeah.
And when you get handed scripts, you're like, all right.
But I'm saying, like, it's okay to eat a Big Mac every once in a while.
Schultz is notable as directing the largest budgeted film by an African-American with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Sadly, the movie did not do well at the box office.
And no other African-American ever directed a film again.
Nope.
Way to go, buddy.
Sure. Schultz's first film was in 1972 with Together for Days, a blaxploitation film about an African-American man dating a Caucasian woman.
Ooh.
It was Samuel Jackson's feature film debut.
Really?
It would be re-released after Jackson's success as Black Cream.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I do not like that name. Was he the star?
I don't think he was the star.
Yeah.
I think he was the supporting actor. Schultz's movies would continue as he worked in Hollywood. Honey Baby, Honey Baby in 1974, about a woman who wins a game show trip to Beirut. It becomes embroiled in a spy plot.
I remember this. It is weird. I don't remember it being...
We talked about it some during Sgt. Pepper's. Cooley High in 1975, considered to be the first black coming-of-age comedy drama.
And his magnum opus. I mean, that movie is great.
It was a box office success and influenced legendary directors like John Singleton and Spike Lee. In 1976, Schultz directed Car Wash, which was also a box office hit and is considered to be a black comedy classic. It was the first time that Schultz worked with Richard Pryor. 1977 saw two movies starring Richard Pryor that Schultz directed. Which Way Is Up, which featured Pryor playing 3 different roles and is considered to be one of the worst movies ever made. Schultz would later direct, after Scavenger Hunt, Carbon Copy in 1981, which featured Denzel Washington in his feature film debut.
Hey, if you want to see a really young, snappy Denzel Washington, playing kind of a jerk, but it's an interesting film, and it's definitely worth seeing for seeing his performance.
And if you want to see an old version of Denzel Washington, snappy and everything, watch The Equalizer 3.
Yeah, there you go.
He also directed The Jerk 2 in 1984, the TV movie sequel to The Jerk.
Obviously better than the first. Everyone says it was better than the original.
It was 100% better. So good it went to the TV movie dustbin.
Do you know who started that?
I don't remember the name.
It's like Charles Rocket or something.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't Steve Martin. That's all I know.
Because when I first read the script, I was like, The Jerk. Oh, too.
We talked about it. Listen to our Jerk episode. We talk about it, and I don't remember.
When I first saw it, I was like, he did The Jerk too? It's like, also?
No, he did not.
Like, dumb I am.
He also directed Crush Groove in 1985, a loose telling of the early days of Def Jam Records and the rise of Russell Simmons. He also directed The Last Dragon in 1985, which is a classic.
Oh, yeah. Cult classic, 100%.
Such a good movie. He also directed Disorderlies in 1987, starring the rap group The Fat Boys.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that Michael Schultz brought us Samuel Jackson and Denzel Washington, and they tried to make the Fat Boys movie stars.
No, they tried to make the Fat Boys the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Is what they did.
It was so not
good. And
good.
it did not work.
So not good.
Fat Boys, decent musicians.
Yeah, they need to stick to music. Schultz now directs TV, directing episodes of The Wonder Years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's not a bad show.
In 2023, the last thing he directed, but he's directed a ton of TV the last 15 years.
Dule Hill's in that as the dad.
Yeah. So they cast Richard Benjamin as Stuart Selsum, the sleazy lawyer. Benjamin started as a theater actor, appearing in The Star-Spangled Girl by Neil Simon, appearing alongside Anthony Perkins and Connie Stevens during the show's 261 performances.
Good Lord.
It's weird because Neil Simon shows up a lot in this movie, like the different actors and stuff. It's really weird.
Well, it's the 70s, man. Neil Simon
I know Simon was ubiquitous and everywhere all the time, but like it just didn't realize how deep he went.
Oh yeah, especially theater. Like he owned theater for 2 decades, and then once they started making all of his plays into movies, then it was like your Dudley Moores, your Richard Benjamins,
This run of The Star-Spangled Girl would lead Benjamin to being cast in He and She in 1967, a sitcom with his wife, Paula Prentice.
Love Paula Prentice.
Oh, she's so funny. He would be nominated for an Emmy for the show. Benjamin's first lead role in a film came with an adaptation of the Philip Roth novella Goodbye Columbus in 1969 with Ali MacGraw.
Not a bad film. Flim.
Not a bad film. I don't know. I've never seen it, but I will say, man, I did not realize Ellen McGraw was gorgeous.
Oh my God!
The photos. I was just like, wow, man.
Did you ever see Love Story?
No. I look. I have a lot of movies I've not seen.
We'll do Love Story.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
It's not gonna be fun.
Okay.
Not for either of us.
Yeah. After a couple of box office flops, he would appear in the whodunit mystery The Last of Sheila in 1973, written by Anthony Perkins and Stephen Sondheim.
Interesting.
I have a very soft spot for Anthony Perkins. I think he's one of the most brilliant actors ever.
Yeah, and a great photographer.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That's actually Roddy McDowall.
Roddy McDowall's a good photographer. Anthony Perkins was big on stage.
Yeah.
Like Psycho shot him up to stardom, but he loved the stage.
Brilliant actor.
Yeah.
And a very sad.
Yeah, His son is really nice, actually. Oz is really a really nice guy.
Nice.
He's a good director too.
Well, his dad was a national treasure.
He was. That same year, Benjamin would appear in Westworld, directed by Michael Crichton and co-starring Yul Brynner.
Yes, Yul Brynner. I am from Westworld. I'm playing a cowboy with no face.
By this point in his career, he was being typecast as
a whiny, petulant bore by doing too good a job acting in a series of sleazy roles.
Yeah. This would lead him to turning down a role in The Towering Inferno, which would ultimately go to Richard Chamberlain.
He was unnaturally good at playing a jerk.
Yeah.
As we see in this.
It was crazy.
He can tap into that in a way that few actors can, like, the guy from Die Hard and Ghostbusters. There's certain actors that are so good at playing jerks that you think they're probably a jerk in real life. It's just they nail that wheelhouse so well. And Richard Benjamin, it's funny because he kind of went from that to, like, more comedic.
Yeah.
And more like everyman or dad.
Yeah, because he was still very charming.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I could totally see him playing, like, in sitcoms, playing leads and, like, being charming and stuff. But, like, yeah, it was so easy to buy, especially with that mustache. It was so easy to buy him being so sleazy.
Yes.
In 1978, he starred in the ambitious but short-lived cult classic television series Quark.
Yes.
Do you remember Quark?
Yes.
I've never seen it. It only ran 8 episodes. It looked fascinating.
Oh.
I need to find it and watch it because it sounds fascinating. Benjamin played a frustrated fiance of a woman who falls for the vampire Count Dracula in the surprise box office smash Love at First Bite in 1979, starring George Hamilton and Susan St. James.
That is a really funny movie.
I still have never seen this, and I need to watch it. We'll have to do horror comedies at some point.
It's, again, I have such a soft spot for
George Hamilton.
George effing Hamilton. Zorro the Gay Blade.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
at First Bite. His 70s, 80s comedies. They're probably not holding up or whatever.
Not
but
terribly kosher anymore.
I love him so much.
Benjamin had supporting roles in 4 films in 1980. The Last Married Couple in America, starring George Segal and Natalie Wood. How to Beat the High Cost of Living, starring Susan St. James, Jane Curtin, and Jessica Lange.
Oh, yeah.
Witch's Brew, starring Terry Garr and Lana Turner. Short pause just for Terry Garr.
Oh, yeah. Terry
Passed
Garr.
recently. It makes me sad. She was so brilliant.
Roll and see hay.
She was so brilliant.
Roll and see hay.
He was also in First Family, starring Bob Newhart, Madeline Kahn, Gilda Radner, Harvey Korman, Rip Torn, Austin Pendleton, and Fred Willard.
That was a good movie.
I've never seen that either. He and Prentice played the leads in Saturday the 14th in 1981, produced by Julie Corman, which I still haven't seen yet.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Because I was a huge Benjamin fan.
Yeah.
I think I even saw it in the theater.
You know what's weird is that I'm pretty sure this is the first thing I've ever seen Richard Benjamin in, which is odd because, like, there's a number of things that I was like, how did I not see this?
Yeah, but I mean, they are a lot older. I mean,
Yeah.
he kind of peaked acting wise
Yeah.
in the 80s.
He did. Benjamin had directed in theater and was eager to start a directing career in film. In 1979, he directed for the first time, creating a pilot for a sitcom spinoff of the film Where's Papa by Carl Reiner. Benjamin said,
The pilot turned out really well, but I don't think ABC ever quite got it. They never did put the show on the air. At least I could prove that I wasn't nuts, that I really had actually directed something.
yeah. The pilot led to an opportunity to direct My Favorite Year in 1982, starring Peter O'Toole. The film did well, earning O'Toole an Oscar nomination for Best Actor and launching Benjamin as a director.
It is a really good movie. Have you seen that movie?
No. Benjamin's second feature as director was Racing with the Moon in 1984 from a script by Steve Kloves, starring Sean Penn and Nicolas Cage.
Not a bad movie.
Oh, yeah. He was then called in at short notice to replace Blake Edwards on City Heat with Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds, which was a critical and commercial disappointment.
Yeah. Everybody was so excited to get those two finally together.
Yeah.
And then also on that movie, Clint Eastwood kind of ruined Burt Reynolds.
Right.
He was, it's famously, there was a scene where they have a fight, and he picks up a chair, and it was supposed to be a prop chair, and he was supposed to bust it over his head.
Right.
It was a real chair, and he busted his jaw.
Oh, God.
And for years and years, the reason why he got so skinny and people thought that he had AIDS was because of this jaw problem that he had, where he couldn't eat, and he had all his operations and stuff, and it was like he was effed up. Yeah, way to go, Benjamin. Richard Benjamin almost killed Burt Reynolds.
Well, blame the art department.
Right. Art department.
Benjamin would continue to direct. He did movies like The Money Pit in 1986 with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me.
I need to see it again.
It's not great, but
I hated that movie.
Shelley Long is so annoying in that movie, but I love Tom Hanks.
But Tom Hanks is annoying in that movie, too.
He does it really well.
All right. We'll have to... look, I definitely need to see that again. I haven't seen it since it came out, and I did not like it.
Little Nikita in 1988 with Sidney Poitier and River Phoenix.
That's a little guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
That's a fun little,
It's a good movie.
one of those Russian spy movies.
Yeah. My Stepmother's an Alien in 1988 was starring Dan Aykroyd, which is not a very good movie.
No, but it was fine. Isn't Kim Basinger the alien in that?
I think so.
Yeah, or Basinger.
Downtown in 1990 with Anthony Edwards and Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, they were cops. Okay. It was okay. It was just a kind of dumb beat cop comedy.
Yeah. Mermaids in 1990 starring Cher and Winona Ryder.
That was good.
Mermaids was a good movie.
Yeah, and also Little Wednesday Addams was in that too.
Christina Ricci?
Yes.
Yeah. She was very young in that.
Yes. Very good, too.
Very good, yeah. Made in America in 1993, starring Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson.
That ignited their romance. They didn't get married, did they?
No.
Ted Danson is one of my favorite actors of all time.
No, because he eventually got married to Mary Steenburgen.
Yes.
But I don't remember when that was.
Well, it was after this.
Yeah. Well, he also did Milk Money in 1994, starring Melanie Griffith and Ed Harris.
That is a really good movie.
It is a much better movie than it should have been.
Yes.
And I remember really liking that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it's such a... The thing I love about this time is there were so many weird movies.
Yeah.
And this was a movie about these sons. His dad was a widower, Ed Harris, and they saved up their money to buy him a prostitute.
Yeah.
But not really knowing what a prostitute was.
Right. It was like, it's somebody to come be with Dad.
And Melanie Griffith was so charming, and Ed Harris was so romantic. It was just, if you want to see an extremely different side of Ed Harris, a really fun side.
Yeah.
That's the thing I will say about Richard Benjamin as a director, is he really brings out the best in his actors.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of the material, you're going to see really good performances. He's an actor's director.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. He also did Mrs. Winterbourne in 1996, starring Shirley MacLaine, Brendan Fraser, and Ricky Lake.
I don't remember that. I remember vaguely.
Yeah, it was like a period piece, and it was,
That was back when they didn't really know what to do with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, it kind of came and went. It was like, he most recently played Dr. Green in the Netflix comedy film You People, opposite Jonah Hill and Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Nice. I watched that. I don't
remember him in it.
Now I want to watch it again. I
haven't seen it yet. I'm curious. I was very turned off by the trailer.
Yeah.
It was
Eddie Murphy was really good.
Yeah. The cast James Coco was Henri.
Oh, Henri!
Coco was the recipient of a Primetime Emmy Award, a Drama Desk Award, a Cable Ace Award, and 3 Obie Awards, as well as nominations for a Tony Award, an Academy Award, and 2 Golden Globe Awards.
James Coco. People don't remember James Coco.
I know,
it's so sad.
He's so good.
Watch. Well, you can watch it if you want, but listen to our Murder by Death episode.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically playing a variation of the same character.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, sort of. Although technically in Murder by Death, he's Belgian.
Right.
He's not French.
But and look, very different characters. But he, a lot of people thought he was French or
Right.
English
Well,
or
of
foreign
course.
because he always speaks such a great French.
He had amazing accents.
Yes.
Man, it was so good.
Amazing physical comedy. And his face, his
Yeah.
rubber reaction face.
So good.
The four of them, the best pairing of this movie was the four of them.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant casting.
God love Stephanie Faracy for holding her, not only holding her own with those guys,
Oh, yeah.
but outshining them in certain scenes. And not in a, like, pay attention to me,
Right,
but in just a very organic, funny, slapstick, big comedy way.
Coco was a seasoned theater actor working with Neil Simon on a number of shows. He appeared in Murder by Death in 1976 as Milo Perrier, the parody of Hercule Poirot, which was written by Neil Simon. He would earn an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Only When I Laugh in 1982, based on the Neil Simon play The Gingerbread Lady.
It was always weird to see James Coco playing straight or...
Yeah.
Not like straight, but like
But non-character,
non-comedic,
like just playing-
big characters.
yeah.
Yeah. Playing a real person.
He would not win the Academy Award. He would lose to John Gielgud for his role in Arthur.
Hey, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, John Gielgud was so brilliant. in Arthur.
Shall I wash your dick, sir?
Coco, a veteran of many failed diets, was the author of the best-selling book The James Coco Diet, released on February 1st, 1983, which documented his successful experience of the Structure House weight loss plan developed by Gerard Musante.
Ooh.
The plan is, because I had to look this up because I was like, Structure House weight loss plan, what the hell is that? If this is literally what they describe. Eat 3 nutritious meals a day. Half plate vegetables, a quarter plate starch, quarter plate protein. Don't eat in between meals, and don't eat after supper. Oh, and exercise.
Yeah.
Which is literally what you should be doing anyway.
Right,
That
but-
is the most obvious diet ever, and they put it on paper and made a ton of money.
Well, there you go. Well, look, it's not necessarily the what, but the how.
Yeah.
And the book is the how and what to eat. And
I mean, good for James Coco. I'm all about it. Like, if it's an encouragement, like, hey,
Yeah.
here's what you need, but it's just funny because it's the most obvious diet ever.
well, most things are super obvious, Adam, but a lot of people just don't get it. And they got to have a whole book about it to
Well,
get it.
I will give it credit that it's not like the carnivore diet or where the Malibu diet where it was like, just eat bacon and then you'll lose all this weight. It's like, this is
It's not a
sensible.
fad
Yeah.
diet like keto or the Scarsdale diet.
Yeah.
That's the one that killed a lot of people.
Yeah. However, sadly, James Coco only lived for 4 years after the release of his book. He died at St. Vincent's Hospital in Manhattan on February 25th, 1987, at the age of 56, after suffering a heart attack at his Greenwich Village home.
Damn.
That sucks. I did not realize that that means that when he was in this movie, he was like in his late 40s.
Yeah.
I thought he was much older.
Yeah.
But because that's sad. 56, too young.
Way too young.
Yeah. Scatman Crothers was cast as Sam. Crothers is known for playing Louis the Garbage Man on the TV show Chico and the Man, appearing in 65 episodes over the 4 seasons of the show.
Chico and the Man.
Now, look, every time I write one of these scripts, there's always some subject where I do weird rabbit holes, and Chico and the Man was that rabbit hole this time.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know about Freddie Prinze.
Oh, you
and
didn't?
The fact that he blew his own head off.
Yep.
I knew he died.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was suicide. I
Yep.
didn't realize that they tried to keep the show going after literally the title character was gone.
I was a huge fan of the show Chico and the Man. The other guy that starred in it, he's been in some stuff that we covered.
Yeah.
He's a really great actor.
Yeah, I'm not.
The Man.
Yeah, the Man. The Man. Yeah.
But I remember really digging that show. It was akin to like Sanford and Son. And,
Yeah, yeah.
It was just that kind of like
It's
working
just
man show.
So tragic.
And I remember when he blew
When
his
he did,
brains
yeah.
out. As a little kid, I was just like, what? I mean, there was so much tragedy
Yeah.
like that, with him, John Belushi.
Yeah. It is amazing to me that Freddie Prinze Jr. came out as solid as he is,
Oh, yeah.
considering what happened to his dad.
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
It just blows my mind. Ha! See what I did there?
Chico and the
You're not
Man.
going to acknowledge it. Okay.
Yes, you did. You did a blow your brains out
Yeah,
thing.
thank you. Crothers' other most notable role is as Dick Halloran in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining in 1980.
Hey, Doc, you got the shine, Doc.
You got a little bit of the shinin.
You got a bit of the shine now. You have a problem, Doc.
Oh, he was
You
so
just
good
give
in
me a call, and I'll be there as soon as you can, Doc.
It was the worst. I love The Shining. I love Kubrick's version of The Shining, but the worst thing he did was kill off Dick Halloran.
Yeah.
Because he did not die in the book.
No.
And it was sad.
Yes.
It was sad that he died. Yeah.
It was, it was surprising. It was like, what? But it was also kind of smart because people who read the book,
Yeah, it was a surprise. Yeah, of course. He was also a prolific voiceover actor who provided the voices of Meadowlark Lemon in the Harlem Globetrotters animated TV series.
Yes, and they not only had their own series, but they would show up on Scooby-Doo, and they would show up
a lot
on,
of crossover.
Oh, my God.
A lot of crossover.
And the Justice League, they would show up on that. And I remember him as Meadowlark Lemon.
Yeah. He also voiced Jazz the Autobot in the Transformers and the Transformers the movie.
Yeah. Listen to our Transformers,
we have a Transformers the movie episode. Whew. The title character in Hong Kong Phooey.
Hong Kong Phooey. What you gonna
another kind of weird, like, blaxploitation kung fu, like.
It was a
whatever.
dog. I love this movie. I love this show so much. Hong Kong Phooey was a dog who was a janitor.
Yeah.
Who went into a filing cabinet.
Climb into a filing cabinet.
To get his karate outfit on.
That was his like Superman's phone booth.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he would change into Hong Kong Phooey. He had a pet cat. It was like that had that laugh.
Yeah, would laugh.
And then it was just great.
Weird show.
And the car, his car, I loved. It would change into a plane, or it would change into a boat. It would change into any of the.
He also voiced Scat Cat in the Disney animated film The Aristocats in 1970. Yes. Around 1985, Crothers was diagnosed with an inoperable malignant tumor in his lung.
God damn it.
Which metastasized to his esophagus, which is apparently one of the most painful cancers to have.
Well, yeah, you can't swallow, you can't talk, you can't.
It's just a horrible way to go.
Yeah, it's like slowly suffocating to death.
Yeah. He was bedridden weeks before his death. On November 22nd, 1986, Crothers died at age 76 at his home in Van Nuys.
God, all these people died in our neighborhood.
I know. Oh, there's more.
I know.
Way more.
It's just like, Jesus, we should do a death tour, a walking death tour.
Oh, so many.
Oh, my God, that floored me.
It's sad. I mean, he didn't make it to 76.
But I mean, I don't care.
But
as a kid,
he had so many more years because he was mainly doing voiceover at that point, and he had such a long career left.
He'd show up on TV, he'd show up in movies, and there was such a stern kindness.
Yeah.
To him.
Yeah.
Such a command of like, well, this is a guy I need to listen to.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
a very, look here, Doc. You know, he would furrow his brow, and he'd be very serious and whatever. And then you have him playing the ukulele.
Yeah.
She's so sweet.
The fact that like he was like, see, Richard Mulligan's like, see, all this crazy stuff I have, it's on the list, and he's just like, all right,
I'm in.
He
was a great singer.
Oh, he was fantastic.
We called him Scatman because he was the best at scatting.
When he talked, you would listen because you knew that what he was saying was important.
Such a distinct voice.
Yeah.
There's not a voice like his voice.
No.
It's just
so good.
That's why he was so perfect in The Shining. Like, when reading the book, that's who I pictured, even before the movie.
Yeah. Ruth Gordon was cast as our village Roll, who had a very small part in this. I was kind of sad. I wish she had a longer part. Because her character was fascinating.
Yeah. Ah, jeez, kid. What's your... I got him. Yeah, that's a paperweight. I keep the real grenades in the icebox. Oh, gee, what do you talk about? She was just...
That was also, again, talking about jokes in the background. The crocheted or the knitted aim to maim on the back of the wall, or the needlepoint on the back of the wall was so great.
She always just played like she was so good when she was older. She fascinates me.
Yeah,
fascinates me.
She had an amazingly fascinating career.
Oh my God, 8 different careers, really.
Yeah,
and such an amazing third act. She was so popular.
Yeah,
in the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah,
and just the brash, funny.
Oh, yeah.
When she played...
She leaned into it.
Every which way but loose. My God, man.
Yeah.
One of the greatest performances ever.
So she began her career performing on Broadway at age 19 in 1915.
She was so gorgeous, by the way. If you look at pictures of her back then.
I know. In December 1920, Gordon checked into a Chicago hospital to have her legs broken and straightened to treat her lifelong bow-leggedness.
Yeah, that's what people did back then.
That's crazy. She was like 24, and she was just like, break my legs.
Well, you can't be a star with bow legs.
Yeah. After a 3-month recovery, her and her husband, Gregory Kelly, started a repertory company in Indianapolis, of all places. Sadly, her husband died of heart disease in 1927 at the age of 36.
Jesus, man.
I can't imagine outliving your husband by 50 years.
Oh, my mom.
I know. My great-grandmother did the same thing. She was without her husband longer than she was with her husband. And she was with her husband for like 40 years. Gordon married her second husband, writer Garson Kanin, in 1942. Gordon and Kanin collaborated on the screenplays for the Katharine Hepburn Spencer Tracy films Adam's Rib in 1949 and Pat and Mike in 1952.
Amazing films. Also, I love the fact that she was attracted to somebody who was a creative partner.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you're going to stay at home and do your acting and you're going to take care of the kids, Ruth.
She didn't, it was 15 years later when she got married again. She was definitely obviously being picky about who she was dating and getting involved with.
But I just love the fact that every part of her is creative.
Yeah, yeah. Both Kanin and Gordon were close friends of Hepburn and Tracy, and they incorporated elements of the actors' personalities into the films. Gordon and Kanin received Academy Award nominations for both of those screenplays, as well as for A Double Life in 1947. All three of the movies were directed by George Cukor.
Yeah, oh my God.
Brilliant director.
Amazing director, and somebody who's been kind of lost in the shuff. But
Adam's Rib is one of the funniest movies ever. It is so good.
Well, you like it because it's got Adam in it.
I don't like it because it has Adam. It should have been called Somebody Else's Rib. In 1966, Gordon was nominated for an Academy Award and won a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress for Inside Daisy Clover, opposite Natalie Wood. It was her first nomination for acting, even though she had been nominated 3 times already for writing, which I didn't even know.
Crazy. And what year was this?
That was in 1952, I believe.
So she was in her 50s?
Nope, sorry, it was 1966. So the first time that she was nominated for an Oscar, she was 70.
Good Lord.
70. She was born in 1896.
Wow.
Yeah. 70.
She's still alive?
Yes, she's 135 years old.
God, I wish.
She unfortunately would lose to Shelley Winters for A Patch of Blue, which I've never seen. I don't know if it's any good. I know Shelley Winters is good.
I'm skinny in the water. I'm as skinny in the water.
She's as good as I can remember. In 1969, Gordon won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for Rosemary's Baby. So when she was 73, she won her first Academy Award.
That is a great movie, and she steals it. And not in a selfish way. It's just you can't help it. She's so good.
Yeah.
And so creepy in that movie. And because she is so, oh, come here, dear. It's great. You stay here, dear. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And it's just, she seems like such a nice lady. And oh, baby, she's not.
In accepting the award on stage at the 41st Academy Awards, Gordon thanked the Academy by saying,
I can't tell you how encouraging a thing like this is.
At the time, she had been in the business for 50 years and was 72 years old. So sorry, she was 69 when she got nominated the first time. But 72. 72 when she won her first Academy Award.
Jesus.
72! All right. And then she said,
and thank all of you who voted for me, and to everyone who didn't, please excuse me.
Prompting more laughter and applause. She was brilliant. She was just an absolutely brilliantly funny woman.
A naturally funny human being. Harold and Maude is one of the greatest American comedies of all time.
She appeared in that in 1971 with Bud Cort as her love interest, which we will cover at some point.
We better.
Yeah.
We got to do some good stuff.
The amazing thing is, after this, she appeared in 22 more films and many television appearances through her 70s and 80s, including successful sitcoms such as Rhoda as the mother of the unseen doorman Carlton, which earned her an Emmy nomination.
Such a funny part.
And appearing on the sitcom Newhart.
Yeah, she was only on an episode
one
or
episode,
two.
I think, yeah.
No, she played... she was on a couple of episodes in the first season because she played Kirk's grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And then he ended up leaving the show. So
Oh, okay.
they didn't need her back. But she was hilarious. She was kind of like this con woman type of...
Yeah.
Yeah, the basic Ruth Gordon.
Right. She portrayed a murderous author in the 1977 episode of Columbo Try and Catch Me, which I watched and is brilliant.
Excuse me, ma'am. Just one thing here. Your Shawnee seems to be traveling around with an orangutan. That doesn't seem healthy.
She made countless talk show appearances in addition to hosting Saturday Night Live in 1977 at the age of 80.
Yeah.
80!
Yeah, and hilarious on it, too. she was gold on talk shows because she didn't give an S.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she did, but she was very matter of fact and just blunt and funny and a treasure. It's just like one of those people that as soon as you see that she's in the movie, you're going to at least have somewhat of a good time.
Right. She won an Emmy Award for an appearance on the sitcom Taxi for a 1979 episode titled Sugar Mama, in which her character tries to solicit the services of a taxi driver, played by Judd Hirsch, as a male escort.
I remember that. Hey, fella, why do you say? Oh my God, she was so good, and he was. We got to do Taxi.
Oh yeah, we'll cover Taxi. On August 28th, 1985, Gordon died at her summer home in Edgartown, Massachusetts, following a stroke at the age of 88.
So sad. I mean, we all thought she was going to live to be 100. We all wanted it.
Her energy was incredible.
She was sharp until the day she died.
Yeah.
She was funny and could hold her own until the day she died. And she knew exactly who she was as an actor, and she perfected it.
Yeah.
To a degree I haven't seen with many actors. She was so perfect.
Yeah. Fighting her for the funniest woman alive or to ever live was Cloris Leachman.
Very
who
close.
Was cast as Mildred Crothers. Leachman won 8 Primetime Emmy Awards from 22 nominations, making her the most nominated and, along with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, most awarded performer in Emmy history.
Deservedly so.
It's so crazy. I did not know this.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was huge in TV in her younger days. And mostly it was kind of like...
And her older days.
Oh, yeah, of course. But it was like mostly around these Rhoda shows, like spinoffs and stuff of the same...
Well, she won for A Brand New Life, a TV movie, in 1973.
Nice.
She won twice for The Mary Tyler Moore Show in 1974 and 1975. Outstanding continuing or single performance by a supporting actress in a variety or music for a Cher special, also in 1975.
I want to see it.
She won 2 Emmys in 1975.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For 2 completely different things.
Completely different things. Outstanding individual performance in a variety or music program for the Screen Actors Guild 50th anniversary celebration in 1984.
What'd she do? I want to see what she did.
I don't know. I'm sure we can probably find it on YouTube. She won an Emmy for Promised Land. It was a TV movie in 1998.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry, not a TV movie. It was a drama. It was an ongoing drama. Promised Land. I don't know if you remember that at all.
It rings a bell.
It kind of sounds familiar,
but not too loudly.
No. She also won twice for Malcolm in the Middle in 2002 and 2006.
Ugh. So good at that.
So good. This show is so brilliant.
It really is.
It was so good.
That needs a rewatch.
It does. I've not seen the whole thing, and I definitely need to sit down and do that. She also won a Daytime Emmy Award for an ABC After School special in 1984.
Okay.
So technically she won 9 Emmys.
Jesus.
Yeah. She would win Best Supporting Actress Oscar for her role in The Last Picture Show in 1972.
Her storyline with, I forget which Bottoms boy, but it was one of the Bottoms. Timothy or...
Tim. I'm going to say Tim. I think it was Tim.
It might have been Tim, but I think it might have been actually the other Bottoms boy.
Rusty Bottoms?
Rusty Bottoms or Dirty Bottoms.
Dirty Bottoms.
Or Pillow Bottoms.
Hairy Bottoms?
Yes. Oh, let's keep going. But it was like a May-December kind of romance.
Yeah.
And she was, in this horrible marriage. And it was just such a heartbreaking role. She was so good at playing vulnerable. And that's what made her comedy even better.
She was so good. Good.
But she was also that combination that could play vulnerable and likable and also play the villain. Frau Bruca also changed her career. Mel Brooks took her in a completely different direction for a while, and the TV took her back. She kind of rolled with the punches and won every bout. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen her give a bad performance.
Oh, no. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And the fact that she was such an absolutely gorgeous woman who seemed like the roles she took, she just wanted to not be attractive.
Yeah.
Like, the severity of Frau Bruca.
She was like what Brad Pitt wants to be.
Yeah.
Like, he was super handsome but wanted to be a serious actor.
Right.
Like not a serious actor, but like
character
more
actor.
Known for their acting than for how attractive they are.
Yeah.
But she succeeded in that, even though she was brilliant. I say brilliant and gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Just gorgeous and just effing funny as hell.
Yeah. In total, she won 24 awards from 53 nominations.
Should have won them all.
During Scavenger Hunt, apparently she had so much energy, most of the cast was annoyed by her, but in a quote-unquote fun way.
I can imagine. She's like, calm down, Cloris.
Yeah.
Jesus, we're trying to eat our steakums.
I also do want to point out that she is from my hometown of Des Moines, Iowa.
Nice.
She was a brilliant, the best thing to come out of Des Moines, Iowa.
Second best.
Besides me.
Second best, buddy. No, you're the second best. No offense. But.
No, I'm happily. Cloris Leachman's way better than me. I'm fine with that. Sadly, Leachman died at her home in Encinitas, California, at the age of 94 from a stroke, with COVID being a contributing factor.
Ugh, so sad.
But she was acting up until the very end.
Yeah.
I mean, her last nomination was for
Hope?
Raising
Hope.
Yeah.
She's so good on that.
Which was like 2015 or 2016 or something. Like it was
like Ruth Gordon, her third act was nonstop. Like her 70s and 80s were nonstop until the day she died.
Continued the whole time. She was so brilliant.
Because she had no fear.
Yeah.
And then not no shame, but she wasn't afraid to be ugly or gross or silly or stupid.
Whatever was worth for the comedy.
And it made her such a brilliant performer because she committed 100% to whatever role she did.
Yeah.
And which a lot of times in lesser films made her the best thing in it.
Yeah. Cleavon Little was cast as Jackson. He was the driver. The driver. Yeah, the driver. Little made a guest appearance on All in the Family as a burglar in 1971. This led to him being cast in the sitcom Temperatures Rising, which starred James Whitmore in the first season, before being completely recast with Paul Lynde as the lead.
Oh, yeah. What a weird recast, by the way.
Dude,
James Whitmore to Paul Lynde?
I don't understand. They renamed the show the New Temperatures Rising or something. It was like it ran for one season. It was super. I also went in a weird rabbit hole.
James Whitmore is very...
Yeah. Yeah. But Cleavon Little was the only cast member to stay on the show.
He was hilarious.
It was about guys working in D.C. and like working on campaigns and stuff, and it was just, I think naturally it kind of made sense to recast. I think, but yes, from James Whitmore to Paul Lynde is super weird.
Bizarre. That is a big old road to drive down, man.
Yeah. His performance in Temperatures Rising would lead to him being cast in Blazing Saddles in 1974 after the studio rejected Richard Pryor for his drug abuse.
I thought he was replaced because he set himself on fire.
No, the fire thing was later.
Oh, okay.
74. No, 74 because he had history drug abuse. The studio was not willing to
insure him.
To insure, yeah.
That
they
makes
were
sense.
like, we don't know if your movie's going to get made if he's there. So
it was History of the World Part 1.
Yeah.
That he had his accident.
He had to pull. Yeah.
That's when we got our buddy, one of our faves, Dancing McGee, Tap Dancer Joe.
Oh yeah, McGee, Gregory Hines,
Johnny Wolfens.
But
that was like Gregory Hines' first gig.
Hines, yeah.
Oh man, Blazing Saddles. I absolutely adore that movie. And as a little kid, seeing it very young, even back then, I loved friendship.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing was friendship. And one of my absolute favorite friendships in a movie are Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
And they're just so cool together.
Yeah.
And in such juxtaposition to every other wacky, crazy character in that movie. Oh, God, I loved him. I fell in love with him because of that and, wouldn't stop watching him.
Yeah, he was so good.
Just one really funny thing is I remember, because I didn't see Blazing Saddles, the real version, until much later in my life. And I just remember when they would show it on TV, there was the funniest scene in the movie, the farting scene, when they're all sitting around farting at the thing. They cut out all the farts.
Ugh.
So it was just sitting there quiet.
Weird.
For the entire thing. And then they're just like, the reactions make no... I didn't... like, what the hell's going on? It made no sense as a kid. And then when I finally saw the real one, I was like...
Funny. That's so weird.
It is. I mean, that's how quaint life was back then.
Right.
People didn't fart or poop or anything.
No, they don't. They don't do that. Over the years, he made guest appearances on...
The Mod Squad, All in the Family, The Rookies, Police Story, The Rockford Files, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, ABC After School Specials, The Fall Guy, MacGyver, and a special Christmas episode of Alf.
Yeah. Little played a supporting role to Pryor in the racing movie Greased Lightning in 1977, working with Michael Schultz, presumably leading to his casting in Scavenger Hunt.
I like Greased Lightning. I totally remember him on the Rockford Files, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another thing, too, is he would pop up on TV, and it would be like, oh, my God, this is the greatest week ever.
Yeah.
I got James Garner and Cleavon Little.
In 1989, he appeared as a closeted gay man in the sitcom Dear John in the episode Stand By Your Man, for which Little won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, defeating Robert Picardo, Jack Gilford, Leslie Nielsen, and Sammy Davis Jr. Little's last appearance as an actor was a guest role in a 1992 episode of the television series Tales from the Crypt entitled This'll Kill Ya.
Remember that? Remember that too. I used to watch that on HBO every week.
Sadly, Little died of colon cancer at his home in the Sherman Oaks area of Los Angeles on October 22nd, 1992, at the age of 53.
Gutted me, man.
That's awful. He had such a long career left.
It's guys like that I just am devastated that I don't get to see their third act.
I know. Yeah, I agree.
You know, there's certain actors that
So
you know,
much
like
more.
Bill Paxton. You know, it's like there's certain actors that you know that third act would have been just glorious, and we were robbed.
Yeah.
Robbed.
Roddy McDowall was cast as Jenkins, the butler.
I love him.
The kitchen is not his domain.
The kitchen is not my domain.
McDowall played Cornelius and Caesar in the original Planet of the Apes film series, as well as Galen in the short-lived spin-off television series.
Planet
of the Apes is the reason I love Roddy McDowall.
Of course, that's the reason why everybody does.
So brilliant in that show, or in those movies. So brilliant in those movies.
He's a human. You can't talk to a dirty human.
His other notable films include
Orson Welles' Macbeth, The Longest Day, Cleopatra, The Greatest Story Ever Told, That Darn Cat, Inside Daisy Clover, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, The Poseidon Adventure, Funny Lady, The Black Hole, Fright Night, and its sequel Fright Night Part 2, Overboard, Shakma, and A Bug's Life.
You might remember Inside Daisy Clover with Ruth Gordon. That's where she won her Oscar.
Yes.
Roddy McDowall and Ruth Gordon were actually very close friends.
Yes, they were.
They were very close. This was the third and final film they worked on together. They actually met because he was a photographer, and he would release a series of books of like celebrities.
He was an amazing photographer,
and he had photographed her in like the second volume, and then after that they were just super close.
Oh, I can imagine they have very similar personalities and those
They're both
wry sense of humor.
hysterical and funny.
Yeah, and they both. I could just see them sitting, drinking martinis, just roasting everybody they know.
Yeah.
That Darn Cat is a really stupid, funny Disney movie that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But Fright Night.
Oh, Fright Night
is one of my favorite things he did.
So good. Yeah.
Him playing the host of a late night monster movie program who is enlisted to fight a real vampire.
Right.
His performance is so pitch perfect. And I was so excited for the sequel. I don't remember the sequel being that great.
I don't think the sequel is very good.
But the first one, the relationship between him and the kid and just his fear and his reactions to everything, it was so real. He grounded that film.
Yeah.
And which is hard to do because, it's a crazy vampire.
Right.
Yeah.
With
Sarandon, what's his name? Susan Sarandon's brother, Chris Sarandon.
Chris Sarandon.
Playing the vampire. Deliciously playing it.
Yeah.
And the girl.
We'll definitely cover Fright Night. Yeah. Good movie.
I'm not afraid of vampires.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Me neither.
See it again. In April 1998, McDowall, a lifelong smoker, was diagnosed with lung cancer. Doctors told him the disease had spread over his body. It was incurable. On October 3rd, 1998, at age 70, McDowall died of the disease at his home in Studio City.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
They all died around us.
Yeah. We're the epicenter of a bunch of older dead actors.
Again. I mean, it was tough saying goodbye to all these guys.
Yeah.
And they all seem to go around the same time.
70's too young. He had so much more he could do. It just sucks.
But so many of these dudes that I loved were dying in their damn 50s.
I know. Too early. Robert Morley was cast as Charles Bernstein.
Oh, ja.
So Morley appeared in those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines, as well as Oh Heavenly Dog, which we've both covered. So please go those two episodes and listen for way more on Morley.
Yeah, don't make us do it again.
Not going to repeat everything again.
For Christ's sake, it was just last week.
It was last week.
Just last
listen
week.
To
you
last
can listen to last week's.
Yeah.
If anything, you can listen to last week's.
Yeah. Richard Mulligan was cast as Marvin Dummets. The reason he was in the movie, and I kind of caught it a little bit, but again, the writing wasn't great. It was the reason he was there was because he dropped off, I think, The Lawyer or something, or he was supposed to do. But it was based around the whole story of.
Of Hughes, of the guy picking up Hughes and bringing him
and bring him to Vegas or whatever.
Jason Robards was playing Hughes,
Yeah.
and it was one of Mary Steenburgen's.
He gets a
first
ride
movies.
from a dude, and then he ends up, when he dies, he leaves in his will like $100 million to him or something. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, all right.
The movie's like Johnny Stool or something. I don't know. It's like
Johnny Stool.
It's not that, but it's
Little Jimmy gives Herbert a ride.
It's a really good movie, and Jason Robards was great.
Jason Robards is fantastic.
As Howard Hughes, but yeah, they did not make that clear in this movie.
No, it wasn't. But supposedly that's what that was his. It was based on. Mulligan is known for his roles in 82 episodes of Soap and 170 episodes of Empty Nest, winning an Emmy Award for each series.
He was great on both, and two very different characters.
Oh yeah.
Soap, he was a dope, but he wasn't a dummy.
Right.
He was a sweet kind of.
Yeah.
And he had his daughters and his wife, and he was one of the families, but he, again, I mean, they all had very complicated storylines at one point or another.
Right,
And I don't think it had to do with divorce or cheating or something with him.
Yeah.
But whatever it was kind of heartbreaking because he was such a likable character on that show.
He's so good.
Oh, my God.
He's so good.
And then Empty Nest is a completely different thing.
Oh,
it was just he and his two daughters.
Yeah, it was
Christy
one of
McNichol.
the 1,000 spin-offs of the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
But he was great in that, and he totally different from this character
Yes.
and totally different from Soap.
Well, yeah, and watch him in some Blake Edwards movies too.
Yeah.
He's not. He plays dumb great, but he plays dumb. He's one of the only guys that can go full dumb.
Yeah.
And still be really funny because
Charming and funny. Yeah.
This is one of the dumbest characters I have ever seen on film ever. Ever.
It's pretty dumb. It's pretty dumb.
He's the first character I've seen in a long time where I'm like, how did he get dressed in the morning?
Yeah.
How is he not putting his pants on his face and his shirt on
How
his...
is he able to drive a car?
But the whole sequence...
Yay!
What a great physical comedian. Him trying to get into the cab.
Him trying to get run over.
Yes!
50 times.
And I really loved the fact, I told you this when we were watching it, I really loved the choice with all of the car accidents and stuff to go under rather than over.
Yes.
Because there is something so much funnier watching the Cleavon little group run over him and be like,
man,
these roads are awful.
These roads, I mean, they're bad.
Because it's just they don't know. I find that to be a lot funnier than the over the top and like, craziness. And man, he earned his money in this movie.
Oh, he did.
He worked his ass off.
He was like Gumby. He was this big, bendy, weird dude.
And not a young man doing this.
No. On September 26, 2000, Mulligan died of colorectal cancer at his home in Los Angeles at the age of 67.
Now, we're going to we're going to kind of slough through some of these people.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely covering them more in the future.
Yes. I don't want to give short shrift to some of the actors, but there's a lot of people in this movie.
Right.
And we're definitely going to cover these actors at some point in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if we do SOB, we're going to be covering Mulligan a lot more than we would in this. So,
well, it's when we do our Empty Nest episode.
Yes, our Golden Girls spin-off month.
Oh my God,
we could.
There's so many spin-offs.
We'd have to do
Empty
2
Nest
months.
was the only one that actually survived.
Oh.
The others were all not good.
Golden Palace, not
Golden
so
Palace
great.
lasted 1 season, and that technically wasn't. That was a sequel. It wasn't technically a spin-off.
Okay.
There was Nurses and then something else. But it just was crazy how much of a juggernaut the Golden Girls was.
It was like Happy Days.
Yeah.
There's like 18 different shows.
Yeah, it was crazy. So Tony Randall was cast as Henry Motley.
Tony Randall.
He was so good in this movie. Randall started as a stage performer with his first major role in a Broadway hit in Inherit the Wind, portraying newspaperman E.K. Hornbeck based on real-life cynic H.L. Mencken.
There is no other actor, to me, that seems like the personification of like a musical theater or a comedy, like the old school theater, like Our Town and stuff, than Tony Randall.
Tony Randall, yeah.
He just seems like he was tailor-made, bespoke for that.
In 1964, Randall starred in the classic MGM film Seven Faces of Dr. Lau, which was based on the Circus of Dr. Lau by Charles G. Finney.
Yes.
In addition to portraying and voicing the eponymous Seven Faces, which were...
Dr. Lau, the Abominable Snowman, Merlin, Apollonius of Tyana, the Giant Serpent, Pan, and Medusa.
He also appeared without makeup in a 2-second cameo as a solemn spectator in the crowd for a total of 8 roles in the film.
Interesting. Have you seen this?
No. I think part of it's going to be troubling, but...
Of course, but it's also... Honestly, I mean, I haven't seen it in 45, 50 years.
Yeah.
But it's a... I mean... Yeah, there's some definitely problematic things in it. But he's insanely good.
Oh yeah.
know?
Sure. I'm sure he is.
It's just there's a little bit of Peter Sellers in Murder by Death.
Yeah.
In there.
He's most famous for playing Felix Unger in the TV version of Neil Simon's 1965 play The Odd Couple opposite Jack Klugman.
That was probably my favorite, one of my earliest favorite sitcoms. Was probably that, the Dick Van Dyke Show. When I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it ran
reruns.
from 1970 to 1975, I believe. And funny enough, as of today, which is not today as in Friday, but the day we're recording this, Odd Couple premiered exactly 54 years ago today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jack Klugman and Felix Unger. Jack Klugman and Tony Randall were gold.
So brilliant.
Gold.
Such a brilliant show.
And 2 giant crushes, talent crushes.
Yeah.
I would watch anything Klugman did. I love Quincy M.E.
Both so brilliant.
I remember, was it Black Sunday? I always get the 2 mixed up. 2 Minute Warning or Black Sunday, where he played the gambler. It was the sniper at the Super Bowl.
I think it was Black Sunday.
And I just remember he was the gambler, and he finally won, and he stands up and he won, and
he
bow.
Yeah.
Gambling
I think
kills.
it was Black Sunday. I think 2 Minute Warning was the hockey one.
But the chemistry between those two.
Yeah. So brilliant.
And I've seen so many different versions of The Odd Couple. Yeah. I've done scenes from The Odd Couple. I've never done the whole play, but I've done parts of it. And, they've reinvented that thing 1,000 times. I think the last version was with Thomas Lennon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The guy that passed away.
It ran for quite a while.
Yeah. Thomas from Friends. Could you be any more dead?
Oh, shit.
Chandler Bing.
Could you be any more dead?
Sorry.
Wow,
Sorry.
man.
I know.
Wow.
Too soon.
Matthew
Perry.
There you go.
I think that was the newest version. They did
Tom Lennon and Matthew Perry.
They had like an African American version that I think had Venus Flytrap from WKRP. If I'm is one of the guys.
It's been redone many times.
But there has never been even Mathau and Lemon, which were great as the original. Yeah. I just don't think that there has been a better Felix Unger ever than Tony Randall.
He was great.
And it's also because of his bona fides on Broadway
and
the stage.
Of course.
And he must have done the play a bunch of times.
I'm sure he did.
And then Klugman was perfect. They were just perfect foils for each other. I've never seen a sitcom more perfectly cast, probably, than The Odd Couple.
Yeah, he appeared in 114 episodes of the show. In 1973, he was hired to play the voice of Templeton the Gluttonous Rat in Charlotte's Web and recorded the part, but was replaced in the film by Paul Lynde.
I'm taking everybody's jobs in this one.
As Randall's voice was perceived to be too sophisticated by the director, who wanted Templeton to have a nasal voice.
I think it was the right choice.
Yeah.
He was just such a little jerk. I'm taking this egg. Yeah. But I think, they should have given Randall one of the geese or something. One of the upper crust.
Right, I agree. Randall, along with John Goodman and Drew Barrymore, was among the first guests on the debut episode of Late Night with Conan O'Brien on September 13th, 1993.
Conan O'Brien often talks about the graciousness and friendship he had with Tony Randall.
Nice.
And how, because he, like me, has all these talent crushes of old school Hollywood, and he had so many of these guys kind of didn't reinvigorate their careers.
No, but he was at least able to interview them and talk to them
and put them in bits,
and
and he loved having them on, and he was just so grateful for Randall being one of his first guests, and I guess they had a pretty good friendship.
That's cool. That's good.
He just seemed like a really good dude.
He seemed like a nice guy. Yeah. Randall was married to his high school sweetheart, Florence Gibbs, from 1938 until her death from cancer on April 18th, 1992.
Good Lord.
So they were married for 54 years. They had no children. On November 17th, 1995, at the age of 75, he married 25-year-old Heather Harlan, an understudy from the production of The School for Scandal, which he was appearing in at the time. The ceremony was officiated by Rudy Giuliani.
All right. I mean, this is...
I just thought it was funny. That's all.
He's looking for work now.
Hey, Randall, can you get married again? Randall?
Hey, everybody. Hey, I need money. The fact that he was married to the same woman for 54 years is amazing.
Look, yes, when you're 70 and you've done your time with your wife for 54 years... Whatever, man. If she's willing and I'm sure he was charming and fun and
Sure. I would have dated him at 25 and he was 70. I wouldn't care.
They lived in a Manhattan apartment and bought a vacation apartment in Key Biscayne, Florida in 2003. The couple had 2 children, Julia, born on April 11th, 1997, and Jefferson, born on June 15th, 1998, and remained married until Randall's death in May of 2004 at the age of 84.
Yeah, his poor kids.
That sucks, man. That's the only thing that's bad about marrying somebody who's 50 years younger than you is that you're not going to live to see your kids grow up.
Well, it's not fair to the kids.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
not
they
fair.
were 5 and 6 when he died.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
It's like, Anthony Quinn or
Al Pacino.
Or Al
soon to
Pacino
be.
or
Yeah.
De Niro. These guys
Yeah.
having kids in their 80s.
No, it's bad. Don't.
It just goes to show you, guys can get it going whenever.
Yeah,
it's gross. Get some old dude. Here's a lesson to you young ladies. If you think you're getting some old guy crawling all over you, he's not going to get you pregs. Oh, it is. It's going to be much worse because you're going to be raising it on your own.
They're itching to get out.
Don't let old actors roll all over you.
So his cause of death was pneumonia that he had contracted following coronary bypass surgery. Yeah.
That was another sad day, but at least he made it to
He
the
was
80s.
84. I mean, yeah.
And just still so funny and spry
Yeah.
and quick and the wit he had. It was just the
Yeah.
guy was so whip smart. And don't forget the amazing cameo he did in Gremlins 2. Listen to
yeah.
our Gremlins
Yeah.
2 episode.
Yeah.
As
Please do.
his brain gremlin.
Yeah.
Well, you see here the manifestation of a different diamond.
So good. Dirk Benedict was cast as Jeff Stevens. Benedict is best known for playing the characters Lieutenant Starbuck in the original Battlestar Galactica film and 24 episodes of the TV series.
Loved him.
Yeah.
Loved that show.
He was great. Yeah. Show was great.
He was a really handsome dude.
He was very handsome.
Really likable, too.
I gotta be honest, he was packing. Woo, buddy.
I didn't
Some
see.
tight jeans he had
Lord.
on during this movie.
He might have been stuffing.
Well, whatever. It fooled me then. He also played Templeton Faceman Peck for 96 episodes on the A-Team.
Yeah, face.
Benedict published an autobiography, Confessions of a Kamikaze Cowboy, a true story of discovery, acting, health, illness, recovery, and life, in 2006.
Uh-oh.
In the 1970s, Benedict survived a prostate tumor, which he refused to have tested for malignancy.
Good Lord.
Like, he could have literally died.
Yeah.
Having rejected conventional medical treatment, he credited his survival to the adoption of a macrobiotic diet recommended to him by actress Gloria Swanson.
Well, she lived to be 110
She was at
years
least
old.
110 when she did that. But also, like, he was probably in his 20s when that happened. I mean, like, anyway. Go get your shit checked out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, not just get it checked out, get it treated.
Yeah. Also in 2006, he wrote an online essay criticizing the then-airing Battlestar Galactica reimagined series and especially its casting of a woman as his character Starbuck, writing that...
No! Oh, okay. The war against masculinity has been won.
And that...
A television show based on hope, spiritual faith, and family is unimagined and regurgitated as a show of despair, sexual violence, and family dysfunction.
I get where he's coming from because I'm sure he loved the original, but the Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined version, is an amazing show.
Oh, yeah. No, it is.
Katie Sackhoff is brilliant in the part.
100%. The original Battlestar Galactica was a fun family show.
Sure.
All about humans trying to find Earth.
Yeah.
And hope and all that stuff. But it's like, if they would have just done that as the reboot, it would have been boring.
Right. It needed to change. And it's
the perfect example of a reboot of a series.
Yeah, agreed.
And you had your gig 40 years ago, pal, and you were super popular as Starbuck, but that time's over.
That show is done. That is done. Like, this is the world we're in now.
Go have a macrobiotic
So I am
lunch.
super happy that the war against masculinity has been won. He most recently can be seen in Space Ninjas, about ninjas from space that invade a high school.
It sounds fun. Is that like a web show?
No, it was a movie.
Oh, was it?
And it was not good. Oh. Yeah. It was called Space Ninjas.
I don't know.
Willie Aames was cast as Kenny Stevens.
Oh, Willie.
Aames made his acting debut in an episode of The Odd Couple in 1971.
Yeah.
He is best known for playing Tommy Bradford, one of the children of Tom Bradford, played by Dick Van Patten on the television series 8 Is Enough, appearing in 111 episodes from 1977 to 1981. He's also famous for playing Buddy Lembeck in the 1980s sitcom Charles in Charge for 126 episodes. At some point, we'll cover Charles in Charge and just how weird, talk about recasting.
Well, not only did he appear in Charles in Charge with Scott Baio, don't forget the dynamic duo of Willie Aames and Scott Baio also appeared in the comedy classic Zapped.
Oh, that's right.
When they have a special weed that makes you telekinetic and you can pull women's tops off.
Yay!
It was highbrow.
Highbrow. He also appeared as the title character for the direct-to-video series Bible Man from 1995 to 2003 over 23 quote-unquote movies. They're not really movies. They're all between like 30 and 60 minutes long.
He was also in a movie that I watched quite a bit as a young man called Paradise with Phoebe Cates.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It was a total Blue Lagoon ripoff, but there was quite a bit of nudity that a young man discovered of Phoebe Cates, and I must have watched that movie 450 billion times as an 11 to 13-year-old boy.
Willie Aames can most recently be seen appearing in Hallmark TV movies.
Great. I'm glad he's still working.
Yeah, look, he's one of those people that from a very young age, or from early in his career, he was like, look, I'm a Christian, I'm a diehard Christian, this is my thing. And so that's why he did the Bible Man stuff. Like, he's never been, like, so he's doing like family movies and things, and his career's going. Like, I'm good, happy for him.
More power to him.
Yeah.
As long as he's not an ass.
No, I get the impression that he's actually a really nice, very good guy.
Good.
Yeah. Stephanie Faracy was cast as Babette.
Oh, I love her so much. I had such a crush on her as a kid.
It's so funny. Her accent the whole time. I just kept thinking of the French maid from Clue, and I was like, she just totally ripped off Babette.
Yes, she did.
Faracy made her acting debut in an episode of Laverne and Shirley in 1976. She made her feature film debut in 1978 with Warren Beatty in Heaven Can Wait.
Oh, she was good in that. That was such a good movie.
She co-starred alongside Bruce Willis and Kim Basinger in the 1987 film Blind Date.
She was the wife, if I'm correct, she was Phil Hartman's wife when they were setting up the blind date.
Right,
And
I think she was, yeah.
Be careful, don't let her drink. She loses control. She loses control.
The following year, she played John Candy's wife in The Great Outdoors.
So good in that, too.
So good in that. That's what I know her most from. She's so good.
She took the thankless wife role, which was the, probably the biggest role for women in the 70s and 80s, especially comedies. It was the long-suffering wife.
She held her own. I believed her relationship with John Candy.
It was so good because she elevated it because she's such a good actor. She's one of those actors that always adds to the film without taking focus.
Without drawing focus,
And perfect example is this movie, when she's with James Coco.
That's not a microscope.
This is a microscope, idiot.
This is a mouse.
Pea-brain.
This is a microscope.
Did she just call me a pea-brain?
Faracy has also had a long career in TV, appearing in shows like
The Last Resort, Good Night Beantown, The Thornbirds, Space, Windmills of the Gods, Touched by an Angel, Wings, Murphy Brown, Will and Grace, Frasier, Grey's Anatomy, Ugly Betty, How I Met Your Mother, Castle, Desperate Housewives, Modern Family, How to Get Away with Murder, and The Goldbergs.
She most recently can be seen in Nobody Wants This, the Netflix comedy starring Kristen Bell and Adam Brody.
Started watching that. Really good.
I watched one episode, have not finished it, but I really enjoyed it. So Stephanie Faracy, amazing, brilliant.
Amazing.
Love her to death.
And I'm so happy she's still working today.
Yeah. Stephen Furst was cast as Merle.
Flounder.
Kind of a very small cameo. Kind of appeared in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
It looks like they threw some fat suit on him too.
He might have just been bigger and as he got older lost weight. I mean,
but he had a shape. He
looked like a big egg.
Yeah, but this one it seemed like they padded him out.
Yeah.
You had to make him bigger than Stuart Pankin.
Yeah, well, not as big as the lady.
Those are biggins.
First gained attention with his featured role as Kent Flounder Dorfman in the movie National Lampoon's Animal House and its spin-off television series Delta House, which
God, he
ran
was so
for
good.
14 episodes.
Flounder!
He went on to be a regular as Dr. Elliot Axelrod of the medical drama series St. Elsewhere from 1983 to 1988, appearing on 97 episodes.
I will be honest with you. As a young man, it was really odd to see Flounder as a doctor.
Why is he? This is weird.
It did take a couple seasons to get used to him.
As a Centauri diplomatic attaché, Veer Kato in the science fiction series Babylon 5 from 1994 to 1998, appearing in 110 episodes.
Good Lord, I never watched that show.
I literally have the entire series on DVD, and it's still shrink-wrapped.
Really? Have you seen it?
No, I've never opened it.
Wow.
It's on one of the streaming services.
You just bought it because...
I bought it because I heard it was a great show, and then I just have never watched. I literally bought it probably 15 years ago.
That's hilarious.
I've never watched it. Along with the 2 TV movies they did afterwards as well. They're all sitting somewhere, shrink wrapped.
You got to save something for the apocalypse.
Yeah. On June 26, 2017, sadly, Furst died from complications related to diabetes at his home in Moore Park, California at the age of 63.
So young.
So young. That just sucks.
Jesus, man.
Sucks.
That means he was like in his 20s in that movie.
Stephen Furst? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Richard Masur was cast as Georgie Crothers, who was so goddamn brilliant in this movie. You know him for playing David Kane on One Day at a Time, appearing in 22 episodes.
That's where I first saw him, and he was one of the boys. They had like him and I think Richard Lembeck were the two boyfriends of the girls, and he was just such a nice kind of weird mustachioed dude.
Yeah.
There's something so likable about him. And that's where I first kind of glommed onto him.
Oh, yeah, he's great. Nick Lobo on Rhoda, appearing in 7 episodes.
That too.
Clark in The Thing, listen to our The Thing episode.
He is so good in that.
So good in that movie. God,
As
that movie's so brilliant.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
so good.
But he's the dog. He's the guy that runs the kennels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already creepy and weird before all that shit happens.
Yeah, he really likes being around the dogs.
Like the dogs. But, yes, I mean, between this and It and Scavenger Hunt and The Thing, it's just he's such a remarkable performer.
Yeah, he appeared as the adult Stanley Uris in the miniseries It in 1990, which we will be covering at some point next year.
Yeah, we will.
Masur worked as an assistant zookeeper in the Bronx Zoo as a teenager and young adult and used his expertise to handle one of the ostriches in the scene where his character Georgie has to move and maneuver the large 250-pound bird from the car to a pen.
They didn't seem the safest way of handling all of those ostriches.
No. It's just good that ostriches aren't aggressive because...
They can be.
They all... Yeah, but not as aggressive as they could...
Tigers?
They should be.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were just kind of like when at the end, when Avery Schreiber pulls that one off the hood off of the one, like, I know that probably wasn't planned, and I'm sure that the animal handler was like, what are you doing? He's the aggressive one.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? But but they seem to be more, like, docile when it comes to being able to be corralled and stuff.
Bet you they were drugged.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise. It was 1979.
Yep.
That wouldn't surprise me.
They didn't really care about animals back then.
Masur played his role as annoyingly as possible, and it was mostly improvised.
Really?
In an interview 30 years later, Masur claims that he based his role of Georgie on Nikki, an angry, drooling, and spoiled 5-year-old neighbor and schoolmate of his who would throw fits and tantrums when he did not get his way. All of Masur's facial expressions and movements were based on his memories of Nikki. Masur modeled his character, a 30-year-old man, as having the mind of a spoiled 5-year-old. The eyeglasses worn by Masur were props instead of Masur's real prescription eyeglasses. The thick fake lenses made it difficult for him to see.
He was so funny, and he was so...
so
he and
great
Richard
in
Benjamin were
Yeah.
great together. And Cloris Leachman.
God, them playing off each other was
Yeah.
so good. That whole safe sequence is so great.
Yeah, he is just a little shit. That's
Yeah,
the only
he
way I
is.
can
He
describe
really
him as
is.
just a little shit.
He is. He can most recently be seen in The Equalizer, the reboot TV show with Queen Latifah.
Right on, he's still working.
He's still working.
Yes.
So there were a ton of cameos in Scavenger Hunt, so I'm just going to buzz through a bunch of them. Meatloaf was cast as Scum, who won't do that.
Yeah, he will.
This is one of the earliest things he did, and he's such a weird-looking dude.
Weirdo.
God, he's such a weirdo. Although, I will say, in the biker bar, there was, like, I'm pretty sure that extra, like, gang of biker extras was in everything in the 80s, because most of them were also, if you look closely, most of them are also in the biker scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, they're probably real bikers.
Yeah.
They're just like, let's get the Satan's
guys.
lovers.
They're willing to, they're willing
Satan's
to play
matchsticks.
Yeah, it was just funny because there was one dude with a big long beard that I was like, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Pat McCormick was cast as the Carnival Barker, the guy who Richard Masur throws balls at.
Oh, he was great.
Best known for playing Big Enos Burdett in Smokey and the Bandit and its 2 sequels.
Did we do Smokey and the Bandit? Nope. Oh, that's so weird.
Vincent Price was cast as Milton Parker. He was a classic horror movie icon. He plays a games inventor named Milton Parker, who is a combination of 2 famous board game company names, Milton Bradley and Parker Brothers, because that is who the writers are.
Yep. Vincent Price, man. I loved him so much.
So brilliant.
So much from the old Hammer films and from all the old horror.
He's still my favorite adaptation of I Am Legend is The Last Man on Earth, which was done in
Yes.
like 1957 with Vincent Price.
Yes, I'm going to get you, mutants.
It was the closest to the book of the 4 adaptations so far. The director originally wanted Price to say something while he was playing his game in bed before he died, but Price thought it would be much better if he didn't say anything and let the visuals speak for themselves.
I think he could have probably listened to the director. I would have much rather heard him say something.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was not the right choice for the beginning of the movie.
It wasn't.
It was just like, what is going on? I don't understand.
I'm surprised he didn't kick a bucket
Yeah.
when he died.
Yeah, well, no. That would be too clever for this script. Avery Schreiber was cast as the zookeeper, doing his best Donald Duck impression.
More like
Or
Sylvester
Daffy
the
Duck,
Cat.
or Sylvester Cat, yeah.
And the poor guy was wiping his face the entire time.
He was such a great actor. They named a theater after him in North Hollywood that he actually, I think, started. I don't think they just named it after him.
He was a great actor. This is not the best example of his work.
No,
by
he's
far.
a better actor than what he did here.
They were just basically do something stupid.
He had that big bushy mustache.
Oh yeah, well he was a comedy team with Jack Burns.
Yeah.
And they were really really funny.
Yeah, they were really great.
They did some great albums, and he again, not his most memorable performance.
No, I think this is a good sign of how Michael Schultz did kind of let them do what they wanted, and he probably should have been reined in a little bit.
A lot of energy.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, it was a recurring role. I mean, like a recurring gag. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot you can do with it.
Look,
so.
I love him. It's always good to see him and his crazy mustache and his giant fro. And it's just,
There was an episode of Love Boat he was on that was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
like he was so brilliant on it.
well, he's a great physical comedian and
Yeah.
amazing timing. And
Yeah.
it's just it was just a little bit over the top. This movie was zany.
Right.
But most of the characters were fairly grounded.
Yeah.
And so he kind of felt like he was out of a
It
different
was
movie.
he was kind of in a different movie.
Yeah, so all of a sudden he beamed in from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was cast as Lars, the gym owner. This was one of his first speaking roles, where he actually was acting.
Using my own voice.
He refused to take his shirt off for his appearance in the film, as he wanted to show off his muscular physique for his starring role in Conan the Barbarian, which was being prepped when this film was being made.
I'll do the movie, but I cannot take off my shirt because it's for Conan O'Brien.
It was great, though. Him and Tony Randall played off each other so well.
Oh, so great. And he was great. He
was
just
funny.
like,
He
it's
was
funny
funny.
to knowing everything about him and how he was extremely successful because he was a workhorse. You could tell that he really, did practice for this, and it was
Oh,
very,
yeah.
it's very, I got my sales pitch down, and I'm going to be very friendly with you.
Yeah,
we're going to get nutrition and get rid of your flabby belly.
He put in the work.
He did.
Definitely did.
And he and Randall were great. And and as soon as I saw him, the memory of him crashing through the window came. I knew exactly what was going to happen. It's like I had these gag memories that kept coming back. And great gag. Just seeing little spindly Tony Randall and super buff.
Running on that treadmill.
And he looks so young. I mean, Arnold is so young with long, beautiful locks.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a very different time back then.
Liz Torres was cast as Lady Zero.
Lady Zero was the psychic.
psychic.
I was going to say psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist.
Yes.
She actually earned 2 Emmy nominations for her part on The John Larroquette Show and had a recurring role on The Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, she was a great character actor that popped up on sitcoms and shows all the time. Very solid performer.
Carol Wayne was cast as the nurse, who is with Vincent Price when he dies at the beginning. She had a number of movie and TV appearances, but had a very tragic life. And this is just because, again, rabbit holed this.
Sure.
In February 1984, Wayne appeared nude in a pictorial for Playboy magazine. That same year, she filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, man.
In January 1985, Wayne vacationed at the Los Hadas Resort in Manzanillo, Colima, Mexico, with a companion, Edward Durston, a car salesman.
Okay.
After an argument, Wayne reportedly took a walk on the beach. 3 days later, a local fisherman found Wayne's body in a shallow bay.
Oh, my God.
An autopsy performed in Mexico revealed no signs of alcohol or other drugs in her body, and her death was ruled accidental.
Was she just walking to the sea? I think the dude did it.
Edward Durston probably killed her.
We're coming after you, Durston.
I mean, if you really want to go murder somebody, take them down to Mexico, I guess.
Well, that's how I do it.
Woo, all right. Stuart Pankin was cast as Duane, who is known for his role as anchor Bob Charles and not necessarily the news.
Yeah, so one of the scavenger items is the fattest person you can find.
Yeah.
And you know, luckily,
Well, I shouldn't say it. Whoever has the fattest person on the team gets an extra 50 points.
right. But yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know, they come up to him. It's the Dirk Benedict and Willie Aames and whatever her name is, contingent. And they had just stolen one of the first product placements.
Yeah.
In
Stealing
films.
the Jack in the Box
Clown head.
Yeah. They convince him to come in, give him money. And the whole time he's just like, well, yeah, I'm the guy with the checkered shirt and the brown shoes.
Right. They're like, we need a guy with a checkered shirt and brown shoes. And he's like, oh, no, I got to go to lunch. And they're like, well, here's a hamburger. Well, I got to go to lunch. Here's some fries. Here's a chocolate shake.
Yeah.
Here's this. Well, I still got to go to lunch. What if we got to go pick up those pizzas? Oh, you got pizzas? It was like,
Dude.
it was
They're
so.
literally handing you food.
Yes. And the whole part was just him eating.
All the time.
And then asking for more food.
Every single scene. Eating.
Hey, Mom, I got a part in a movie. A big movie with some big stars. What are you playing, son? Guy in the checkered shirt. Black shoe.
He eats a lot. It's weird. I don't know why they keep having me eat things.
Yeah, there's a couple other big people in it, too, but they weren't wearing checkered shirts and shoes, so I don't know why they were in the Scavenger Hunt.
He also was the voice of Earl Sinclair, the daddy dinosaur in Dinosaurs.
Not the baby.
Which had every time Dinosaurs comes up, the worst, scariest ending to a TV show ever.
That's when the
literally the asteroid comes down. It is so sad. It is so weird.
Oh my God, that show was bizarre and awful.
It was weird.
Not the baby.
Weird. I'm not going to say it was awful.
The baby character was quite possibly one of the most annoying characters
yes,
ever made.
Yes. Agreed.
And unfortunately, they leaned into the baby too much. But yeah, it was just the Simpsons as dinosaurs.
Well, it was like Roseanne. Like they were trying to be like, oh, it's working class people. They just happen to be dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Yes.
He also played Orthodox Jew Ben Heineman in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
He was great.
He's so great in Curb. Maureen Teefy is Lisa, the name of the girl who gets kidnapped by Dirk Benedict and Willie Aames.
Teefy. What a horrible name. She must have been teased so much.
Yeah. She appeared in Fame in 1980, Grease 2 in 1982, and Supergirl in 1984, which is what I remember her from.
I fully remember her from Fame. She was like one of the actor people. The Fame movie, right?
Yeah,
not the
movie,
TV series.
The movie, yeah.
No, I totally remember her from that.
Yeah. Missy Francis was cast as Jennifer Motley. She later became a Fox News anchor for 10 years.
Yeah. This prepared her for it by working with insanity.
She was one of the kids, of Tony Randall's kids.
The youngest daughter.
Yeah. Julianne Haddock is Michelle Motley, the older daughter. She had a recurring role on The Facts of Life. David Hollander was Jason Motley, one of the kids. He was the stuffy pompous kid on Airplane.
He's the one that goes to sit next to the little girl, and he's like, would you like some coffee or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like, how do you like your coffee? And the little girl said, I like it black, like my men.
Yeah.
And the look on his face, the little guy. But a great little actor. He showed up on tons of stuff, but he was such a good little actor.
Henry Pollock II was the naked policeman, and I use air quotes around naked.
Yeah, he had a tank top and some underpants and some socks and shoes and a gun belt with a gun and a helmet.
He appeared on 66 episodes of Webster, but is mostly a voiceover actor.
Yeah, he was on Webster. I think he was Webster's teacher, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So Scavenger Hunt was filmed entirely in San Diego, as it provided a far more controlled environment to be able to film, particularly the final chase scene at the end of the film, in which they were able to control traffic and allow all the stunts to go off smoothly.
That was another reason why I was super excited about this movie, is because there weren't a ton of movies that were shot in San Diego. I grew up in San Diego County.
Right.
So, again, I was like...
It was exciting.
Yeah.
And of course, for budgetary reasons, they shot in San Diego, which totaled out to be around $7 million for the movie.
Good Lord, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they had to cut corners. They just paid a little bit more for an editor to be a better movie.
And a writer.
Yeah, and a rewrite. So of the 100 items on the list, 70 are shown in the film. And now, Jim will read them all.
Propeller beanie, teddy bear, toilet, crate of bananas, Rolls Royce grill, clown head from a Jack-in-the-Box drive-thru, beehive, dentures, totem pole, cash register, safe, life preserver, nitrous oxide, wedding dress, mounted moose head, pinata, inner tube, basketball goal, go-kart, tuba, saddle, weather vane, bulletproof vest, parachute, ostrich, milk canister, foxtail, medical skeleton, gumball machine, bowling pin, police uniform. Whoopee cushion, cowbell, pogo stick, drum, baby carriage, rocking horse, swordfish, suit of armor, microscope, medicine ball, pool cue, football helmet, hockey stick, jackhammer, parking meter, crystal ball, cigar store Indian, bicycle, punching bag, coat rack, baseball bat, flippers, skis, turkey, kayak, barber pole, stilts, miner's helmet, surfboard, jack-o'-lantern, clothes iron, bellows, traffic cone, globe, torpedo, crutches, butter churn, photograph, and sewing dummy. Plus 50 points for the team with the heaviest person.
This is one thing in the movie that, again, this is where the writing fails, is that they didn't just have a list of the stuff. They had 100 clues.
Yeah.
And they only talk about a few of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, that to me would be more interesting of people trying to solve the clues.
Well, that was part of Mad World, was finding out what the W was.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem. The reason why this movie didn't allow itself for the character development or all the stuff of Mad World is because with Mad World, it was a single goal for everybody to get from A to B.
Right.
And so from A to B, we watch them grow, and they have their, how do they get there?
Yeah.
And they have their detours. But because this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and they're each going for something, and they bounce around, and it's like, okay, well, we're not going to show the only one is the ostriches, but they don't really show the people getting it. It's just, how do they keep disappearing? But because of having to stop and do all this crap, we didn't get to know anybody at all because it was just thing after thing and trying to set up these set pieces and gags like they did in Mad World. But with the exception of mostly the staff, there weren't a lot of really great slapstick set pieces.
Like gags and things. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I mean, really, honestly, because they had the biggest ones, the toilet and then the foam and stuff. But it's like, although Richard Mulligan with Scatman Crothers did have like the whole thing with in the museum and him playing the mummy and stuff, like that was funny. And
I'm not saying that it was bad. It's just the reason why Mad World works so well and the outlandish and crazy set pieces and experiences that they got into worked so well because the characters were grounded, the story was grounded, and we believe that this, even though they're in the basement of a hardware store and it's exploding. We know why we got there.
Yeah, it's still believable.
Yes, it all makes sense. A lot of this, it's just gag for gag's sake.
Yeah, it's not believable that Tony Randall and his kids somehow dug underneath the San Diego Zoo and elevator down an ostrich into the ground.
They had mining helmets, Adam.
Yeah, which I don't know if that was actually part. Also, whoever wrote this list, because the list this was just I pulled off the internet. Obviously does not play basketball because no one calls it a basketball goal.
Yeah, I was a little bit thrown by that. Maybe it was done by a British person.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Get it in the basketball goal.
Get it in the goal. Get the ball through the goal.
It was, again, it would have been like, I think it would have, like you said, if it was like a 2-part TV movie.
Yeah.
Like 2 consecutive Sunday nights for the Disney Sunday night movie, and they let it air out a little bit and give us a little bit of character development. And
it would have worked better,
much better.
So the estate that was used as Milton Parker's lavish mansion would be the only time a major film production has been allowed to film in or around the property. Because after many scenes, the final car race in particular, there was a ton of damage to the property.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Now, it was $5 million of the $7 million budget went to fixing up the mansion.
Where was the mansion? Do you know?
No.
It was in San Diego.
Yeah, it was in San Diego, yeah.
I think it was at our house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was your house. Okay.
I just remember all this weird stuff going on. And
yeah. You're like, okay.
And then my folks being like, don't worry about it. Just stay in your room. Don't worry about it.
Go back to boarding school. What are you doing here?
Don't worry about it.
When the scene involving the station wagon and the parachute was filmed, the film company picked what they expected to be a quiet back road east of Del Mar, California. What they failed to check was the date, blocking off the road as hundreds of cars were trying to get to Torrey Pines High School for their 1979 graduation.
Oh, yeah. I think we played Torrey Pines in football.
Probably. With the road blocked off, everyone got out and watched them film the scene. They first tried just pinching the parachute harness in the rear window, but the drag pulled the rear window out of the car, so they had to shoot the scene again, having secured it to the back of the car with weights.
I missed that scene.
You did you?
I was like peeing or something.
It wasn't very good. Like, it's obvious they didn't have a lot of budget for it. Yeah. The advertising for this film caused Midnight Madness, a similar film from Disney, to scrap their plans to release at Christmas in 1979 and instead released in February of 1980.
I seriously, There's not a lot of ad blitzes that I remember as a
Right.
child, but for some reason this one sticks out as
It's interesting.
It really like spoke to me. The ads,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way that like it
You just were
indelibly
so
put it
excited.
into my brain.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Scavenger Hunt did not receive good reviews. The Chicago Tribune's Gene Siskel termed the film
Excruciatingly dull. Coco with little disconnect to toilet. Randall gets knocked down by a safe, which he doesn't. That was actually Richard Benjamin. Get your facts right. Benjamin steals items from another team. Isn't that a scream? Are your sides splitting? F you
hate
jerk.
Gene Siskel. I'm sorry. I know he's dead, but God, he
But
was
get
just,
your facts straight.
he was just an awful human being.
He was a dick. I mean, look, the more we do this show and the more we get the reactions from Siskel and Ebert, as much as I make fun of him, at least he is a guy that I believe loved movies.
He did.
I think Gene Siskel hated movies, hated himself,
Yeah.
and wished he had a better career, and was so
yeah.
resentful that he was
Yes.
stuck reviewing movies rather than being a quote-unquote real writer,
Right.
that he was a dick.
He was. Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote,
When a movie's jokes are so noticeably without punchlines, only a mood of uproarious confusion can save the day. Mr. Schultz takes an orderly approach that only makes the movie more of a mess.
and this is the first time ever that I could not find any information on how much money it made.
That's crazy.
Suffice to say, it was not good. They did release it on VHS in 1984,
Yep.
5 years later, and it did so well that they didn't release a DVD version until 2017.
This is a forgotten film.
Yeah.
This is a 100% forgotten film.
If this movie had been a TV movie, it would be a classic.
Sure.
It would be a beloved classic.
With all the cast that it had, yeah.
Yeah. It would have been great, and but granted, I'm sure way back in the day, in 1979, they weren't spending that kind of money on TV movies.
No.
But
They were. They definitely were. They definitely were because, TV, you still got a lot of money.
Yeah,
From TV,
yeah.
you would pull in a share of 40 million people.
Right,
you know?
right.
So, yeah, they did put, it would have probably had a bigger budget if it was a TV movie, especially if it was like
Yeah.
a 2-night
Yeah.
affair, like a little miniseries thing. Look.
Oh, I think even just a one night, like 3-hour special. I mean, you still do the advertising blitz. You still
Yeah.
release it in December. Like it'd be huge.
It is definitely worth seeing.
Yeah.
It is not a horrible movie.
For me, the worst movie we've ever covered, Hot Pursuit.
Sure.
And I got to be honest, the first 10 minutes of this movie, I turned to Jim and I was like, oh my God, we got a contender for a new worst movie ever made.
It does. It is the opposite of Mad World in terms of the opening.
Yeah.
It starts and then stutters for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when it gets going, and then it's entertaining. And it's
Yeah.
definitely something, it's not a, watch Friday night with all your friends, but it is like a Saturday afternoon with some of your
Yeah,
buddies.
yeah.
It's a definite
fun-
beer and weed
yeah,
movie. It's
yeah.
a definite, you want to turn your brain off because the world is driving you crazy.
You don't have to pay close attention to
No.
it. You can still enjoy it. There's little islands of like gags and comedy that are really funny in this movie.
I laughed out loud a lot.
They're just disconnected.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Like, yeah. I mean, it could be so much better.
Yes, I enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to enjoy it.
Right.
Which is great. I think I'm getting softer as I get older. I want to like things more
same.
than not like them because I know how difficult it is to make things.
Oh, yeah.
And comedies, man. Comedies are the hardest things to make. And big ensemble comedies are even harder because juggling so many different stories.
Right.
This is what happens when you're not Stanley Kramer.
Right.
You
right.
know, this is what
you
happens.
don't have the history and
Right.
the knowledge of how to put a giant movie like this together.
You're a good director.
Yeah.
You're not a great director. And you're a good comedy director, and you got a lot of great stars, but you're saddled with kind of a shitty script.
Yeah.
And you don't have very much of a budget.
Yeah.
And most of the budget went to getting these actors.
Yes. Yeah.
And so,
In fact, that's why he signed on, because they had signed on a bunch of the
Right.
actors, and he was like, "Oh, I got to do
gotta
this."
work with these
Yeah,
people, of
yeah.
course. But I think this is kind of a situation, where he's behind the 8 ball before he even begins the game.
Yeah. You're already 2 steps back,
Right.
and it's like, man, you're just trying to stay afloat.
And I think with all of that, I think he did the best job he could.
Oh, I agree. And
know?
I don't think the movie was directed poorly. I think he did the best he could, and there were some really funny scenes in it.
It is not a failure.
Yeah.
It is if it is a failure, it is a noble failure.
Yeah.
It's not like a bad movie where it's just everything was bad. Nobody gave a crap. I think people were really trying.
The actors did the best they could, and they succeeded. I mean, they were funny.
Yeah.
They were really funny.
Yeah. Is it the best movie you're ever going to see? No.
But definitely seek it out, find it. You'll appreciate it.
But what other movie are you going to get to see Ruth Gordon and Cleavon Little and
Cloris,
James
Leachman,
Coco and
Roddy
McDowall
and Tony Randall.
And Mulligan and all of these really great comedic actors from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
All in one movie. It's worth it just for that.
It is. All right, we'll be back next week. Oh, man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
Cannonball Run. It's going to be good. I have not seen this in so long. And it may be nostalgia sheen, but all I think about this movie just makes me smile.
Me too. And my favorite part of this movie is the end, is the credits.
The credits,
the bloops.
With them being normal people and being funny.
That's why we do bloops.
Yeah.
Because of that. Speaking of the bloops and the slapping, I'll just tell this really quick. There was an interview with Dax Shepard, and he was talking about this movie he did. It was Without a Paddle with he and Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
And
Seth Green, I think.
And Seth Green. And Burt Reynolds was in the movie, and he slapped Lillard because of the, missing up the line. And Dax Shepard was so jealous. He's like, he slapped Lillard. I missed. Why didn't he slap me? Because they all grew up loving the slaps, just like all of us. And it was the funniest reaction. It made me love Dax Shepard even more.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, I get it, to be on a movie with Burt Reynolds and to get the slap.
Yeah.
That would make
You've made it.
Be able to retire, man. Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be fun. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, if your great uncle dies and he decides to put you on a scavenger hunt, make sure you pick the right team.
Yeah, and look out for our 2025 scavenger hunt from the Gen X Files.
Oh, it's coming, baby.
Oh my God, I want to do a scavenger hunt so bad.
What would be on it? What would be on your list?
It's all going to be riddles.
Nice.
I'm not going to tell anybody.
Give me one riddle.
It is a cup full of coffee.
Wow. Okay.
I'm working on it.
We'll be back next week. And oh, baby, do not put your hand on the butt of a ostrich.
Oh, don't. Honey Bunny. Sorry.
And what's her name? Space Windmills of the Gods?
Just space and then Windmills of the Gods. Okay. Not Space Windmills of the Gods.
That sounds like a cool show. Yeah, I'd like to start that over. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, already in progress.